welcome everybody into another mock draft for the Minnesota Vikings. This is going to be Vikings Mock Draft 3.0. Decided to get this in under the wire before free agency officially begins today. As of this recording, we are 2 hours away from the start of the legal tampering phase, i.e. the day that we don't have to pretend anymore that we are actually in negotiations with contracts and free agents. So that begins at noon. Taking sort of a risk because this video could be irrelevant the minute that I upload it, because at 12:01 they can officially start announcing free agent signings. We had Kevin Zeitler sign this morning before I recorded this, and it could make not sense, right? We could be looking at a mock draft here today that doesn't make a whole lot of sense because they ended up getting free agents at positions that are no longer needed. But I'm going to go through and take the gamble anyway, just to create the conversation. I didn't go into this mock draft with really any strategy or theme in mind. The only thing that I told myself beforehand as a preface was, let's do this under the assumption that, one, Ezra Cleveland does move the left tackle and takes over that starting job in the absence of Riley Reiff this year. And number two, that the Vikings sign at least one free agent guard before the end of the week. So those are the things that I went into this mock draft with. If you were interested to know who the players were selected before the Vikings made their selection at 14 overall in this mock, I will put that on the screen now. I believe this is 7 through 13. So those were the players that were not available. And of course, as always, in the name of transparency, I will let you know who the players were available when it was my turn to make a selection. So here we go. The Vikings own the 14th pick in the first round, round 1, pick 14. Here are the top 5 players available at the position at this time. And I have this feeling going forward that the defense is going to be the focal point, right? Because in the last week or last week and a half, it seems like most of the conversation has been on the defensive side, save the whole Riley Reiff thing. So I have a feeling that Mike Zimmer is going to win the day. And because of that, I am going to draft with round 1, pick 14. The selection is Christian Barmore, defensive tackle from Alabama. It's hard to do with Christian Darrisaw and Patrick Surtain both still on the board here, but I believe that Christian Barmore, putting him into the 3-tech next to Michael Pierce, and then I assume, I'm doing this under the assumption that they're going to sign another prominent defensive end in free agency, not Stephen Weatherly. He's more of a rotational guy, somebody like a Carl Lawson. So it'll be Carl Lawson, Christian Barmore, Michael Pierce, Danielle Hunter. The defensive line is back compared to what it was at last year. So that is the Vikings' first round pick. Also, full disclosure, I did try to trade out of this selection, but no team was interested, so I couldn't make that happen. So the next pick for the Minnesota Vikings isn't until I believe the 78th overall pick, but I did decide to get back into the second round, late second round. So I have made a trade with the Kansas City Chiefs. So the Vikings will receive the 63rd pick overall, which is the 31st pick of the second round. And the Chiefs will receive pick 90, pick 134, and pick 157 for their compensation. That's a little expensive for a second round pick, especially a late second round pick, but it was the best that I could manage. Really, nobody in this mock draft was interested in trading. The AI just wanted to kick me out altogether. So that was the cost. I paid a little bit of a price to get in the second round, but I'm happy because of the player that I got. So the Vikings now pick round 2, pick 31, which is 63 overall. And these were the top 5 players available at the time. Travis Etienne, Peyton Turner's an interesting name. We've got Javonte Williams, Justin Hillard, the linebacker from Ohio State. But the guy that I'm going after because of his pro day and because that I do believe the Vikings need more talent at the cornerback position, Jeff Gladney, Cam Dantzler, they're here to stay, but nobody really else is locked in. We've already released 2 cornerbacks, and I believe Chris Jones was also released, so that's 3 cornerbacks off the roster. So I am with the 63rd overall pick. The selection is going to be Greg Newsom, cornerback from Northwestern. I mean, did you guys see this guy's pro day? And I believe the Vikings were in attendance for it, him and Rashawn Slater. The guy's fast. The guy looks electric. I believe he has worked himself in to the first round. So it would be amazing if we were able to get him with a trade back into the second, in my opinion. So that is going to be the second Viking selection of the day. We move on to round 3, pick 15, 78 overall. Here are the top 5 available at this time. We have Joseph Asai, Michael Carter, Tyler Shelvin, Levi Onwuzurike, and then James Hudson. All very good players, very worthy of being the 78th overall pick right here. But I feel like Joseph Asai is too good to pass up. And I know I just said that they're probably signing Carl Lawson in free agency or another prominent defensive end. But if Joseph Asai comes along at it, you know, in the middle of round 3, that is just too good a value to pass up. So for round 3, pick 15, 78 overall, the selection is going to be Joseph Asai, the edge rusher from Texas. I liked what this guy saw on his pro day as well. Apparently he had a very good vertical leap, and I think this is something that fans probably are not going to like that I just did this, but you know, this is the Mike Zimmer mindset, right? Edge rushers, cornerbacks, 3-tech, you know, all of these tools. We were going very defensive heavy here at the top of this draft, and there's reason for that, because I believe that the philosophy that Mike Zimmer and Rick Spielman are going to do to save their jobs is championships still win defense. So that is the mentality with Joseph Asai is the 78th overall selection. Next, we have a trade. I have decided to initiate another trade here with the Cleveland Browns. The Cleveland Browns will receive pick 119 and 125. I am going to trade up to pick 89, sort of recoup that late third-round pick that I gave to the Kansas City Chiefs. On the board at pick 89 overall is James Hudson, Joe Tyron, Jalen Darden, Ben Cleveland, and Cameron Sample. And the reason that I traded back up to get into this position is because I do want to secure some value for the offensive line going forward. So the selection at pick 89 overall is going to be Ben Cleveland, the guard from Georgia. And this is going to be my offensive line for the year, right? We're going to have Ezra Cleveland on the left tackle, a free agent left guard, Garrett Bradbury in the center, Ben Cleveland at right guard, Brian O'Neill at right tackle. That's, I think, the best we can do this year. I don't think we're going to be able to afford Joe Thuney. We'll see how it goes. Like I said, this video could be obsolete by the time it gets uploaded. But I think Ben Cleveland is a satisfactory guard for this position in the draft. And he is somebody that I've been taking a lot in mock drafts, if you watched any of the previous ones. Just absolute good guard depth for the interior offensive line this year, with some good day 2/early day 3 picks that are going to be available. Another one was the guy from Illinois, so I forget his name, it escapes me at the moment. But Ben Cleveland is the target. Moving on to round 4, pick 38. Vikings pick at 143 overall. The top 5 players on the board were Robert Jones, Cameron Bynum, D'Angelo Malone, Ellerson Smith, and Josh Myers. And I decided that I do want some offensive tackle insurance, so I'm not going to oversimplify this one. I'm just going to go ahead and take the selection at 143 overall. It's going to be Robert Jones, the offensive tackle from Middle Tennessee. And as I said previously, this is just to get some insurance/depth at the tackle position. I do assume that Udo is going to get an opportunity this year, former 6th-round pick for the Minnesota Vikings, still on the roster. But this would make an interesting camp battle for backup duties on either side of the offensive line. Next, we have round 5, pick 27, 171 overall. The top 5 players available at this time were Patrick Johnson, Milton Williams, Kobe Whiteside, can't read my writing here, I can't pronounce that one, Stevenson, Robert Rochelle, I'll figure that one out later. And all of these are great. Milton Williams I took a good hard look at, but I took Christian Barmore in the 1st round, so I'm not really interested in another interior defensive line player because I'm assuming that they're going to keep Shamar Stephen because they really like him for some reason. Or maybe they get creative and bring back Linval Joseph somehow in free agency. But for this pick, I decided to scroll down, find another player outside the top 5 available, and I went with safety Caden Stearns from Texas. He is the selection at 171 overall. This will be a nice fill-in for Anthony Harris. I assume we probably find a mid to low tier free agent to take over for Anthony Harris. Anthony Harris is going to walk. He didn't really play up to expectations last year, and we are going to move on from him. Next, we have round 6, pick 15, 198 overall. The top 5 available: Tony Poljan, Jarrett Patterson, Marco Wilson, Felipe Franks, and Austin Watkins. I'm not taking a quarterback here at this position. At this point in the draft, there was only 2 left, Felipe Franks and David Moore from Central Michigan. And I decided that's just not worth it anymore. I should have probably taken a quarterback early, but we need help on defense, and that's what I went with. Not interested in a running back. I'm not really interested in too much of anything other than maybe taking a flyer on a wide receiver. So the pick at 198 overall is going to be Austin Watkins, the wide receiver from UAB. We are in desperate need of wide receiver depth. I actually heard a report this morning right before I hit record that Chad Beebe is not going to be a tendered restricted free agent, so he will likely hit free agency, but they do want to bring him back. Even if they do, we still need better hands at the wide receiver 3 position, and this would create some competition. So Austin Watkins is the selection at 198 overall. And then to close out the mock draft, round 6, pick 80 or pick 39. There isn't 89 picks in a round. Who am I kidding? Round 6, pick 39, 221 overall. The top 5 available: C.J. Verdell, Larry Roundtree, Trevin Grimes, Teron Jackson, and Quinton Boanna. And I decided to get creative with this one, scrolled down, looked at the remaining tight end market, and thought I'd take a flyer. At pick 221 overall, the selection is going to be Quinton Morris, the tight end from Bowling Green. 6'4", almost 250-some pounds, 240 pounds. Athletic, has some interesting catches on tape, and I thought, why not? Because we could use another developmental tight end behind Conklin, and maybe he could surprise some people. This is basically just, the late rounds. I've pretty much already filled out my roster. I'm just taking chances, throwing a dart at the board and seeing what sticks. So that is going to do it for this mock draft 3.0. The final selections are on your screen right now. PFF gave me some harsh grades for this one, especially the trades, and I understand that I probably gave up a little too much value in the trades, but at the same time, it's a mock draft, it's pretend. I'm just trying to secure draft picks to get players that I want. That way I can talk about them and how I feel they fit in with this team. So that is the mock draft 3.0. Let me know what you think in the comments below. It's not the best one that we've done, but it's still pretty good. We'll have one more after free agency and go from there. So thank you all very much for watching. Let me know what you think in the comments below, and I will see you in the next one.